Let's turn our attention to the Middle East because what's been unfolding in Lebanon is extraordinary. Pagers and radios used by members of terrorist group Hezbollah have been exploding in one of the most sophisticated and complex operations the world has ever seen. Joining us now is Israeli writer and journalist Yossi Melman, who's in Israel for us. Yossi, thank you for your time. I really appreciate you making the effort to join us here on Power Hour. This type of attack has never been done before. How significant is it, and how much of a setback is it for Hezbollah?
Well, from the operational intelligence point of view, it is very impressive, innovative, imaginative, well prepared for, I would say, a couple of years. It didn't happen over the weekend. So it's very important, significant in terms of showing, signaling to Hezbollah Israel's capabilities and how Israeli intelligence, the Mossad, managed to penetrate Hezbollah and to turn it into a transparent organization. But on the other hand, it is by being by showing that Israel can humiliate Hezbollah. We are getting very closer to a war, not just against Hezbollah, all-out war, but maybe a regional war. This is a very dangerous situation.
How close are we to an all-out war, as you put it, and what retaliation could Israel expect?
Well, Israel and Hezbollah are already in a tit-for-tat clashes, kind of an attrition war on both sides of the Lebanese border, on the Israeli side and on the Lebanese side. But the two sides are trying to act in measure, and now it can escalate. Now it is escalating and can slide into a full war, which may bring the Iranian to attack Israel, and also to use its proxies in Syria against Israel. Hezbollah, after the shock and trauma of the last 2 days, after these explosions, would retaliate, and they would have to retaliate heavily, and then Israel would have to counter. So we are really very close to a war, and I would also add that I think it was wrong to activate these machines, these tools, these pagers and radios, because they were prepared to launch a shocking first wave of strike, which would be followed by airstrike and land invasion. In that sense, Israel, the Israeli intelligence, the Israeli decision makers, Prime Minister Netanyahu, wasted this surprise tool because it hasn't been followed up by a military Air Force land attack on Hezbollah.
Is Israel planning on going into Lebanon?
Well, that's what Israeli leaders are saying. That if the war that Israel cannot handle and cannot suffer from this low-key war of attrition. One has to remember that 100,000 Israelis have been evacuated from their homes in the north, in northern Galilee, which became, like ghost cities and ghost communities. So Israel wants to force Hezbollah to accept a ceasefire on Israeli terms and to distance its forces from the border. If it happens, then Israel would not launch a massive war. But if it doesn't, most probably it will. And the fear is that it will slide into a regional war with Iran. And this is why the U.S. is very, very concerned about it and showed its unhappiness regarding the Israeli decision to activate these tools, which were prepared for a rainy day and for a day of judgment, so to speak.
How are Israelis on the ground responding to this?
Well, some Israelis, especially from Netanyahu's base, are very happy, are very impressed. They praise the prime minister, but the other half of Israelis are not that glad. First of all, because they think it was wrong to activate the pagers and the radios at this stage, and secondly, they are worried because all-out war means that almost every part of Israel will be targeted with heavy rockets, with carrying very heavy warheads, and above all, we still are in a war in Gaza, and a release of the hostages is not seen on the horizon. So everything is connected. And just to isolate this incident from all the other developments in Israel itself, in Israel and its neighbors, and in the region is wrong. But Israel is also a highly divided society for many, many years, and especially in the last 2 years. And because of that, um, you see the divisions among those who support the operation, and those who are very unhappy about it.
So just to be clear, can I get your assessment of this attack? You think it was too soon that Israel pulled this off, or you don't think this is a win for Israel in any way?
Yes, I think it was wrong. It was prematurely activated because it was prepared as a secret weapon that and a very innovative new weapon that no one knew about it. So even world intelligence organizations are very impressive and praising the innovation, the technology, the creativity of the operation. But it was prepared to be used as a shock in the opening hours of a war. It was supposed to be used with a follow-up of airstrikes and land invasion. And since we did not invade Lebanon for many reasons. The airstrikes are not massive. This tool was wasted, and Hezbollah would draw its lessons from what happened, will improve its communication lines and systems, and will go into safer and more secured networks.
Does it not send a message of just how brilliant Israel's intelligence is?
Well, it is sending a strong message to Hezbollah, but we have been sending such messages for many, many years before. I mean, and especially in the last year, Israel assassinated the military leader of Hezbollah. You may call him the chief of staff of Hezbollah. Israel is targeting Hezbollah positions in South Lebanon, even in Eastern Lebanon, and still Hezbollah is unmoved. Hezbollah joined the war in support of the Palestinians in Gaza, and being a fundamentalist Islamist terrorist organization, which turned into kind of a military apparatus. They are determined to continue with it. So in that sense, Israel tried to deter Hezbollah, but it seems that it doesn't work. And I believe that only a regional arrangement, regional deal, supported by the United States, by Western democracies, and by the Arab world, the moderate Arab world, would solve the problem, would bring once again tranquility and peace to Israel, to Lebanon, to Gaza, and to the region.
The US election is less than 2 months away. What's your take on how the results will impact the conflict in the Middle East?
That's why the United States is very worried. And maybe it was deliberately activated and decided by Netanyahu because he knows that the American public is preoccupied with the elections, that the American leaders and candidates are also now involved in the campaign. President Joe Biden, Vice President and candidate Harris, and Trump. So maybe Netanyahu thought it's a good opportunity because the Americans, who are anyway standing behind Israel, supporting Israel, supplying Israel with weapons, would tolerate it. But the administration is very, very concerned, very worried. They are worried because they accused already Netanyahu for torpedoing the deal, which may have brought the release of the hostages in Gaza. We still have 101, probably 103 hostages.
And that is so heartbreaking that the hostages have not all been returned. We are coming up to the 1-year anniversary of those October 7 attacks. Are we any closer to getting the hostages out?
No, we are very close. There were a few occasions, few opportunities to clinch a deal, but Netanyahu always put every time Israel and Hamas and with the brokers like the United States, Egypt, and Qatar were getting very close to a deal. He torpedoed it by setting new conditions and new preconditions. So we were very close in May. We were very close, even closer in July. But now it's getting distant and distant. We are not close at all. And in a way, the families at least, and some parts of the Israeli public are accusing Netanyahu of deliberately not releasing the hostages or not have intentions to release them because it means a ceasefire, and he doesn't want a ceasefire for his political gains and personal gains.
It's a heartbreaking situation. Yossi Melman, Israeli writer and journalist, thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you.